It's Monday, August 3rd. I am Jeremy Wolf, founder of Open Athletes, former MLB draft pick, former Olympic qualifier. This is Open Athletes. Today, it's deadline day. It is the greatest day in sports. Coming up, Derek Skubal I'm a Mets fan, okay? I grew up a Mets fan. I was drafted by the New York Mets. But I've lived in Detroit, and I do love the Detroit Tigers, so I will say Derek Skubal from my Detroit Tigers to the Los Angeles Dodgers was just an absolute. If you've been a baseball fan long enough, you've seen this happen time and time again. It's just very fascinating. And we're going to talk about it. A British firm is paying up to $2.5 billion for a fantasy app that became a prediction market. The same weekend, New York sued its biggest rival, Kalshi, for $36 billion and called the industry illegal gambling. DAZN swallowed every TV team in New York. The Senate wants to double what college pays its athletes. I've been a college athlete before. I've talked to a lot of athletes going through NIL. This one is going to be the beginning of something new as well in college sports. The Senate wants to double what colleges pay athletes. Good. And LeBron may have just made a Philadelphia jersey patch the most valuable 3 inches of fabric in the National Basketball Association. Potentially, in all of sports. This is Open Athletes. This is our first day live. There will be kinks. There will be technical difficulties. It's just me and you and a camera. I don't know how many people are watching. I just wanted to do this in this way, so that I could have somebody to talk about sports with. And for the most part, it's just me. And hopefully there are folks out there who are just as passionate about sports as I am. And as a former professional athlete, I wanted to be able to share some of these things at a different level. So please stick around, stay tuned, because the work that we're going to do at Open Athletes is going to be a lot of fun. Mostly, actually, I'll say this. Every single day, we're going to come out here and we're going to take the biggest news in sports and talk about them, dissect them from the athlete's perspective. Who is at Open Athletes for? Everyone who's a fan of sports and wants to know more about sports business. I'm going to be learning a lot about things at the same time you do. We're going to go through, share screens. We're going to go through, have these conversations live and in real time. If you don't catch it every single day, it's going to be live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. As soon as this show is over, subscribe to the newsletter. We're going to send updates in there. If you are a former athlete, current athlete, wants to build a business, start a business, Open Athletes is designed for you. Join one of our cohorts, be part of our community so that you can build the thing that you want to build with, number one, mentors who have been in your shoes before, but number two, so you don't have to do it alone. The reason why Open Athletes exists is because something I wanted as a former professional athlete, as someone who really loves taking the passion that I had for the thing that I was doing, the job that I had playing professional sports or college sports, which is a job in itself, to now helping athletes start and build businesses or talking about sports, the things that are most important to us. So if anything, I've set this whole thing up so that I can just focus on this and the athletes that come into our cohorts. So for now, it's going to be us. It's going to be our little small community. And as we get larger, we're going to be able to share a lot more about what our athletes are doing. And if you're building in sports, come on our show. We're going to have conversations with people who are building in sports, the value of sports for your community. I just think there's so much here and there's so much untapped. So this is just the very beginning of what we're going to do here. We are going to try to go live every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. We're starting a little bit later today. I wanted to make sure things were set up and ready to go. And hopefully they are. I've done enough tests of these and retests on specific days to where I know the issues that we're experiencing. I know the issues that we are facing. So in sports, certainly, but I'm doing this from scratch. I built all of these things myself. I built all of these systems, and I hope that this is something that can be entertaining for you. And I hope that this is something where you learn wherever you are. I hope this is something where you learn something new today. And I hope we have a lot of fun along the way. So we're going to start with quick hits. Quick hits! As I pull that up. Quick hits, MLB deadlines, bundle. Yankees get Garcia. White Sox get Castillo. That was very interesting. Jays by Jameson Taillon and Tarek Skubal to your Los Angeles Dodgers. Kelsey Plum headlines a quiet WNBA deadline. The WNBA is becoming more of a go-to source of entertainment and sports news for me. I think what they're doing is fascinating. The All-Star break was really exciting. I'm really interested in how the WNBA is handling Caitlin Clark. I've seen a lot of pushing and shoving. I've seen a lot of fights involving Caitlin Clark. I need to watch more of her games to see if she's, the one starting the trouble or just, what is it? What is it that's making people so angry all the time in the WNBA? And I think it's been excellent for sports that they've gotten so much bigger, that the evaluations of these teams are so much more. And I think it's great for women's sport as well. Macklin Celebrini resets the NHL pay scale with a record AAV. College jersey patch market finds its price after Ohio State and Notre Dame. Last week, we talked about Chase's investment in Ohio State in the jersey patch for $15 to $17 million per year. Some of that money will, of course, go to athletes and NIL. Amazing. Sure. But $15, I said last week, is an absolute undervalued advertisement to be on the jersey for Ohio State. If they're in the video game, it's undervalued. Even if they're not in the video game, even if Chase's advertisement on the jersey is not in the video game, which would be played by hundreds of millions of people, right? That visibility itself. Chase being associated with Ohio State for $15 million per year is an undervalued asset, for sure. Carl Ravitch returns to the ESPN booth after being laid off, which is very interesting. I was lucky enough in my professional career to meet Carl Ravitch. My father used to work at ESPN, used to work with Carl Ravitch. Carl Ravitch is one of the best in the business, for sure, without question, without a doubt. And I'm happy to see that he's back. He's incredibly good at what he does. And hopefully ESPN can get back to that magic that made them so great when I was a kid. SportsCenter with highlights. We can't show highlights because we're on YouTube and Twitch and Substack and other platforms. They will not allow it. But Baseball Tonight used to be a very, very special hour or 30 minutes of television. And it's lost its luster over the years. It's lost its luster. And, hopefully with Carl Ravitch, he can start to bring some of that back. So we'll see. We'll see. This episode of Open Athletes presented by Marvelous. Marvelous. We do have sound effects, folks. Marvelous, the all-in-one platform to help health insurance agencies become more efficient, more effective in the things that they are doing. All right. Let's get to Tarek Skubal, going from the Detroit Tigers to the Los Angeles Dodgers. From Front Office Sports, Dodgers acquired Skubal, chasing 3 straight titles. The deadline is today at 6 p.m. Eastern. Yankees added Garcia. Mets sent Peralta to the Rays. White Sox got Castillo. We know this. On deadline day, players are inventory. GM decides your zip code. Call you're not on. Teams win the deadline years early by hoarding prospects. Your leverage is the inventory you stockpile when nobody is watching. Skubal to Los Angeles is the biggest thing to happen in baseball, certainly this year. He was expected to make a $500+ million contract. The Tigers were going to be unwilling to pay. He was going to go to the top bidder anyway. And now that Major League Baseball and the Players Association are definitely going to lock out based on their wants for a salary cap. The players don't want it. Why would you? It's capping the total amount you can earn. Even though revenue is shared between teams, revenue is not going to be capped from these teams. And so teams are looking to limit the total amount these athletes can make. And in this case, will Tarek Skubal will it be to his detriment that he didn't sign last year? didn't sign an extension. He's going to be a free agent after this year anyway. But is it to his detriment? Is he still going to make what he's worth on the open market, or are the economics of what baseball is going to be in the future going to limit the total amount that he's going to make based on his value? This is what we will see. This is the interesting conversation that's happening. And yes, the Dodgers have the prospects and the ability to trade for Tarik Skubal in the middle of the year. I don't know who's assuming the rest of his contract, and maybe it's going to be LA for the rest of the season. Who knows? Probably not. Probably not. But now they have Shohei Ohtani, last year's NL MVP, last year's AL Cy Young Award winner, a Yamamoto. They are Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell. You could venture to say that it's the best starting five in the history of baseball. You could venture to say that they are guaranteed to win their third straight World Series. Baseball is baseball. Baseball will play itself through. It could go to 7 games like it did last year against Toronto. Will Tarik Skubal change things? How will Tarik Skubal change things? I'm a baseball purist, of course. But is it good? Is that a good thing to have an enemy like the Los Angeles Dodgers, or is it a bad thing? How will a salary cap improve the competitive balance? Will teams end up spending more if players are capped? The answer to that, in my view, having been around this long enough, having been in negotiations with unions or on behalf of unions when I used to run More Than Baseball, and having been a professional baseball player, are the Pirates going to spend money if there's a salary cap? Are the Rays going to spend money if there's a salary cap? You tell me. You tell me. All right. Folks who are live, I had this all set up and ready to go. And right now what I want to do is make sure that I can share my screen because we have some articles to go through. I can't, unfortunately. And so we are going to get to item number 2. See, first live day. First live day. I appreciate you sticking with me, being with me today. And we'll see what happens. We don't have a commercial break. However, we'll get this sorted out, sorted through as we keep going. See, that was the thing I was most worried about. I'm just a former athlete with a day job for which I love. But I wanted to find a place to talk about sports. Creating this space with you is the way that I'm trying to do that. And so there will be technical difficulties. And hopefully you can hear my sound effects. Thank you so much. Front Office Sports! Up to $2.15 billion. $1.1 billion up front. $200 million earnout. Up to $850 million to employees. U.S. prediction markets share behind Kalshi and Polymarket. This is the numbers from Bank of America. Underdog cut 20% of its staff in March, pivoting off of DFS. Bought CFTC registered Aristotle Exchange. The category you are classified in sets the valuation of the things that you are able to do, the value that it is that you are able to transact for. Is Underdog Sports worth that much? I'd venture to say yes, because as sports betting and prediction markets become more intertwined, the value of each of these platforms is going to exponentially increase as the amount of people participating in these platforms, able to utilize the systems that are being built, are able to utilize them more. And certainly in all 50 states, but around the world, as sports is A, becoming more prominent, B, becoming more intertwined with sports betting. Is gambling good for sports? It's changing how sports is featured. We will never have a gambling sponsor. Promise you. That's just not something I want to be able to share with an audience that might be younger as we continue to grow. But I'm hoping that Open Athletes, more than just our sponsors, our amazing, beautiful sponsors in the bottom, I don't want to become reliant on money from gambling. I don't gamble, and I think it's changing how sports is being seen or participated in, and I don't want to make it, in my view, like continued part of the conversation. You know, as a former professional athlete, like that's how I feel about these platforms. At the time when I was playing, it was not legal to use these in all 50 states. You could get a VPN and you could try to figure your way through it. But, you know, by creating more surface area for these opportunities, you know, I think it's bad for sports when, as you're growing up or as you're watching sports every single day, there's always the money lines or the things associated to that. And so we will not be sponsored. Will more teams be sponsored by these? In the UK, they're limiting the ability to have front of jersey sponsorships for these types of platforms. Are we going to see a Polymarket, you know, NBA jersey sponsor? We saw FTX. I would venture to say that, well, one is crypto and one is prediction markets, or one is sports betting. It would not surprise me if that happens. I mean, things are going to go to the highest bidder, you know. So this episode presented by Athletes Fund. Athletes Fund, the venture fund that backs current and former athletes building real companies, the capital, plus a network that gets you to where you need to go in sports. DAZN swallows New York television. DAZN, or DAZN, if you're my father who doesn't have DAZN, it's becoming the exclusive D2C streaming home of Yes Network and MSG. The Gotham app is shutting down. SVG covers Yankees, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, Islanders, Sabres. Gotham subscribers migrate to DAZN across 2026 and 2027 NBA and NHL seasons. DAZN CEO Shay Segev. The RSN subsidy dies in public. Teams trade guaranteed cable money for earned streaming money and the job of keeping subscribers. Same trade you might make going direct. You give up the guaranteed check and own the churn. Is this good for athletes? I would say yes when it comes to like Major League Pro sports and their revenue sharing and the amount that goes back to the athletes from that, based on collective bargaining and all of the things that they argued for during each negotiation season. But is it good for us, like the fans, that platforms are becoming, in some cases, more direct, right? Some of these games on DAZN is going to be free for you in your local area, or if you VPN to be watching some of these games in the New York tri-state area. When these things happen, the consolidation of this type of thing happens means that some of these things in a lot of cases might be less accessible. Is it going to remain free? Are they going to gatekeep it behind a paywall? Will I still be able to watch the Yankees? Will Major League Baseball still black out local games if I don't have a cable package? Will I be able to watch this on MLB TV? When I was living in San Antonio, Texas, and when I was living in Florida, and I went on MLB TV because they didn't give it to us when I was playing. I paid for it. I watched as many games as I could. When I was living in Florida, I could not watch the Marlins or who the Marlins were playing. I could not watch Tampa or who Tampa was playing. I was locked out because they were forcing me to go watch on cable. So at the hotel, we would turn on channel 6 and watch it. Sure, that was my only way to watch it, was on cable. In Arizona, I can't watch the Diamondbacks on MLB TV. If I live in Chicago, I can't watch the Cubs or White Sox because I'm blacked out of those games. And so it's consolidation of where these games are being streamed from Is that making things better for us as sports fans? Right now, my subscriptions are... Well, I don't pay for any subscriptions because, you can still get them from your parents. But, and thank goodness they don't kick you off when you're 26, like in health insurance. Where can I watch Major League Baseball right now? I don't have YouTube TV, so I don't have a live TV subscription. So where can I watch a Major League Baseball game? One game a week maybe is on HBO Max. One game a week is maybe on Apple TV. I get 2 games a week. If I don't have a live package, which I don't want to spend $80 to be able to scroll through when I get access to every single platform. So when we once were able to watch as many games as we could on, I don't have access to MLB Network on the things that I have. And if I were to download the MLB Apple TV app, I wouldn't be able to watch it without a subscription. So I'm locked out of MLB Network. Does that mean I need to pay? Does that mean I should pay for this access? Well, I have subscriptions. I'm getting it from my parents and friends and trades and whatever, but I'm not able to with general subscriptions to these platforms. Hulu, Peacock. Peacock might have 1 game a week. When it comes to the NFL, with the same apps that I have, everything but live TV, I can only watch the 1 game a week on in Arizona, the Sunday afternoon, maybe a Sunday morning CBS game, maybe a Sunday afternoon CBS game. I don't have the Fox app. What I'm trying to say is, as cable bundles disintegrate, you're not going to DirecTV or Cox to get a cable bundle. You're going to go from, the term is not cut the cord anymore. You're going to go direct to each of these apps. And then you're going to go to YouTube TV because you're going to realize that they're missing something. And over the next 3, 4, 5 years, we're going to see that the most purchased premium subscription for these platforms is going to be YouTube TV because of that, because of the bundles that are being built into all of that. I don't live in New York, right? I'm not going to watch or try to watch every single New York sports game, but is everything moving over to DAZN like going to limit my ability to watch sports or participate in sports? Isn't it making it harder or more expensive for me to do that? Only time will tell. But the further consolidation of these platforms is making like my experience as a sport fan more disparate from like the sources of where these things are coming from. And so we'll see. And I don't want to get the ESPN Plus subscription because La Liga coverage on that is not good. I'm very happy that Formula One is on Apple TV. I think they're doing a fantastic job. So are we going to see more direct to from the league on one platform? Maybe. I think it'll be good for Netflix to still have games. I mean, if it has games, then I'm able to tune in. Or am I just being stingy because I'm not willing to purchase an $80 a month YouTube TV subscription? YouTube TV, future sponsor of the show. Current sponsor of the show is MindReady. MindReady mental performance coaching and sports psychology education for your athletes, teams, and community. I appreciate it. Very, very grateful. See, this is what I'm talking about. Rolling through this. Topic number 5. Senate bill would double the revenue share. A reworked Senate bill would more than double what schools can share directly with athletes to win the Big Ten and SEC. From the Associated Press, This bill more than doubles share revenue, up to $25 million retention pool. House settlement 22%, $20 to $22 million per school. $600 plus deals reported within the last 5 days. The schools that called these kids amateurs now lobby to raise the cap because a cap is cost certain for the buyer. Structure protects the unagented athlete, but never confuse a cap with a ceiling on your value. The real money is owning the collectives, the data, the marketplaces, and your brand. You athlete, are an asset to these organizations. And where can you maximize the fact that you are on the field in these jerseys? Where can you utilize your ability to make money from the fact that you are very good at your sport? And if doing it correctly, can market yourself as participating with this organization. And if I were you, if I had the ability to do this, if I was a linebacker for Texas Tech, what can I do? Can I give the behind the scenes story of how things happen at Texas Tech? Can I give an audience a more specific look at things? Can I tell stories directly to camera like this? I would do all of these things because what these brands are looking for, what they're paying you for, is access to your ability to get in front of an audience for them. Where can you, as a linebacker of Texas Tech, be able to do those things? If you're the quarterback of Ohio State University, you are making a lot of money in NIL, and you should, because that's a very prominent position to be in. And I would say get the best representation that you can and leverage the fact that you are here for at least 3 years, at least 4 years. But long after you're playing, how can you continue to provide a value to the audience that is captured by you for being the quarterback of Ohio State? If I'm at these big Power 5 schools, certainly. What can I do in my local community if I am playing for FIU? How can I be Joey the linebacker or Susie the softball player at these programs? Now you have the ability to be creative online, certainly. Or can you create real value in the audience that you're building because you are an athlete for a very small amount of time? Where can you start to leverage the fact that you're an athlete in this window? And where can you make your mark, your money, and your platform from for doing that? Now, it's good that these college organizations, that the big ones that make millions of dollars a year off of certainly the audience that they're creating from having an ASU football team and selling out every game or whatever it might be. 6, 7 home games a year, something like that now. But where can you, if you're part of that, leverage the fact that you are in the room? When I was playing, there wasn't a lot of food a lot of times in the locker room. And so I would say, hey, to Brants, I love your beef jerky. I love your peanut butter. I play for the New York Mets. I would love the ability to have a shipment from you. I'll share it with my friends and we'll put it on social media. And that worked more than half the time. Now things are different. This is 8 years later. Where can you benefit from that more than just peanut butter, but financially? So all of this stuff, the money movement in college sports, the transfer windows and all of these things. I'm not one to say, is it good or bad for sports? That's up for you to decide if that's a good or bad thing for a college sport. Is it ruining? I mean, was there ever, even before NIL, the good old days, the glory days of college sports where athletes couldn't get paid? NCAA and the organizations were just making sure athletes couldn't get paid because they wanted to keep that money for themselves. And now that it's not in fashion, how can the athletes take advantage of these things? How are athletes going to take advantage of the fact that they're in the room for a small amount of time? In a lot of ways, they are part of the algorithm, right? To get in front of people as a college athlete, you need to use the algorithm to do that. But in a lot of ways, they're outside of the algorithm. How are these athletes going to be able to leverage that? Technical difficulties, folks. We're getting there. Day one live. What can you do to leverage your time on the field or on ESPN Plus or on ESPN or on CBS if you're at these big schools? I play Division III baseball. What do I know about this? I've seen it enough talking to current and former athletes that I know there's a couple of things that athletes can do. Number one, create an opportunity to create an audience for yourself, because this is going to matter during and after your career. Certainly. Having an audience helps. I did not create an audience. I am creating my audience. So maybe there's one person watching, or 14, or 20. But imagine if I did this while I was playing. Technology in a way wasn't there yet, but could I have done other things? Yes, I was too shy. I wouldn't just let it rip like I am now. And hopefully it's entertaining and of value to those who participate. And it will be of value when we start to have our athletes and our cohorts on, and more brand sponsors and more people telling us what they're building in sports, because that's a conversation that needs to have. Okay, enough about that. But outside of the algorithm, what does that mean for you as an athlete? Well, people are going to tune in to watch you play, or people are going to go to autograph signings because you are there. And you have an opportunity, again, in this very small window, to get in front of people in a way that is not algorithmically driven. And you can take advantage of that. The second part of that is I've been part of union talks before. I've been part of collective action. The organization I started, More Than Baseball, is the catalyst for creating the Minor League Baseball Players Association. College athletes still should consider, regardless of the amount of money that top players are making, consider collective action. Are the wins of the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, in your sales right now? No, they are not. But that doesn't mean that you cannot and should not still consider collective action for you as a college athlete. I know these things are being discussed. I know that these things are being talked about around college sports. There have obviously been efforts to unionize teams or specific conferences. We considered it when we were running More Than Baseball, how we can help college athletes. But it takes the athletes to have these conversations internally, and it takes telling the story differently. Hey, we want to form a union to have these conversations. Can you get in the room when you're that direct? More Than Baseball said, we're going to help minor league baseball players get housing, food, and equipment. We never mentioned anything about building a union, even though that was our intention the entire time. We knew that with telling the right story, the collective action was going to come once we gained everybody's trust. What could your argument be, college freshman, who's eager to have these conversations, who plays at Ohio State, who sees that Ohio State's going to make X amount of dollars this year? And even though this bill is a step in the right direction, and even though NIL is a step in the right direction, you still don't have the ability to collectively bargain based on the value that you have, because you're not seen as employees yet. So you're not able to have these types of conversations. But obviously this is much different, and I would venture to say much better now than it was in 2003 and 2008 and 2012 and 2020. And so these things will take time, and we're going to look back in 30 years and say, wow, look how far they've come. And hopefully the money that's made in college sports can and should continue to go to the athletes who are playing on the field. LeBron turns the 76ers patch to gold. I cannot believe that I live in an era. Is this the process? Is this me trusting the process? LeBron was going to go to the 76ers. Purest example of this show's thesis wears number 6. LeBron joined the 76ers, whose jersey patch expires after this season, and his presence can make it one of NBA's most valuable sponsorships. And it will. SixersCrypto.com patch 2020 started in 2021 for a 6-year, $10 million deal, expires after this season, the 2026-2027 season. Open market. These patches going for $50 million a year. The Warriors, LeBron, who's 41 on a 2-year deal, up to 4 per Rich Paul. Expected max 34 national games versus 14 last season. Incrop says when LeBron goes there, it becomes a different ballgame. Boy, that Crypto.com patch for a 6-year, $10 million deal looks great right about now, doesn't it? But how much is that? 1 year? 2-year Sixers patch going to be with LeBron? Do I sign a 1-year deal if I'm DAZN for $50, $75, $100 million to be on LeBron's jersey for his last season? I think there's 12 or 13 NBA teams with 12 or 13 MLB teams with patches on their jersey. I think all 30 do in the NBA now because it's incredibly valuable real estate. The most valuable real estate. The team didn't get more valuable. I mean, it did. You selling your team with LeBron on your roster and not. But when LeBron walks in the room, he changes everything. He changes everything for the city of Philadelphia. He changes everything for the 76ers. He changes everything for every single athlete that's in that locker room with him. Because being associated with LeBron is still very, very good and very, very important for you. Because LeBron is good business. The only question is whether you, the athlete, captures the value of whether or not you're associated with athletes of that level. If you're a college athlete, if you're a professional athlete, how can you find value? How could you learn from LeBron's career? LeBron's fully diversified his investments into many different things, mostly entertainment and sports, obviously. But what LeBron James does for sports won't say never, because we thought it was never going to happen after Michael Jordan. But what LeBron James does for sports is incredibly important. Incredibly important. And created an opportunity for the Kevin Durants and the Lewis Hamiltons and other athletes to say, you know what, I have this finite window. LeBron's finite window is 23 years, but a finite window to be where I am and to be able to have the impact of being a mogul and doing all of these things is incredibly important. And LeBron has really, and Rich Paul and his team have done an incredible job at creating so much value for LeBron over the last 20 years. And good on him. LeBron came in as the next Michael Jordan, fully lived up to that, became the greatest of all time. Don't fight me on that. We're gonna have those conversations. And we'll see if he wins a title with Philly. What's that going to do to his legacy? 3 titles? 4 titles? It would be 6. You think he's at 5? Can't share my screen. Thinking in real time, I think he'd be at 6 titles with 5 different organizations. 4 different organizations. And he's still playing a majority of games. Guys are able to extend longer. And he's only making $8 million this year. He could Tom Brady that money right back into his team to hopefully push for another title. We'll see. I would love to see the 76ers win a title. Would love it. With LeBron. I love dynasty stuff. That's just me, though. Do I want to see the Dodgers win a 3rd straight? Yeah. I love greatness, man. I want to see the Dodgers win 5 in a row. It's good for sports to have a villain. I think it's good for sports when there's that. The other side of that is, well, if they have too much money and they can spend too much, is it still fun to watch? Is it still fun to participate in? if the Dodgers win every trade deadline and win every year because A, they have the money, B, they have the talent to do that. We talk a lot about monopoly power here. Is Underdog selling for $2.5 billion and being consolidated into other things? Is the consolidation of that good for me as a sports fan? I'd say there's gives and takes to that. If I'm a Dodger fan, yeah, I love it for sure. If I'm somebody who loves baseball, do I love that the Dodgers are going to win? Have won 2 years in a row? The entertainment of baseball has never been higher. Having a pitch clock is incredibly important. I was watching a 2022 Twins Yankees game. It was on TV at a bar I was at. Yes Network was on and they were playing an old game. And I was like, oh, Luke Voigt is there. This is not live. And I was sitting there for about 45 minutes watching the game and just noticing how different it was. We don't realize it now. It might still be a little slow and people might only want to watch during the playoffs. And obviously the World Series was incredibly exciting last year, but 45 minutes is going to get you at least until the third or fourth this year. And 45 minutes, maybe it was more. I was still in the second inning of that game. There were still airing commercials and stuff, of course, but it was the live game. And boy, Major League Baseball's come a long way. Certainly. Believe it's the number 2 sport again above the NBA. I could be wrong. They always go back and forth. Obviously, the NFL is number 1 in America. Soccer's coming up. Hockey's number 4. Sports has never been different. However, it's never been more the same. And so where we see the Dodgers dynasty now, and they still do the things that they need to trade prospects for a Tarik Skubal. But it's still, they're still doing the thing that they would do. And the thing that has made the Dodgers successful over the last 20 years. And growing up in Arizona, I couldn't watch Diamondback games because we didn't have the sports cable package and I couldn't watch it on MLB TV. However, I watch Vince Scully games maybe every game. I went to bed with Vince Scully in my ear. The Dodgers have always been an organization this good. It's just now that they have the ability to spend it and they're spending it correctly and they're doing the right things in the front office to extend that. But when you're the Mets and you have all the money in the world, they're not making the playoffs this year. So it's more than just buying the talent. It's making sure you buy the right talent or doing the right things with your prospects. This episode of Open Athletes presented by Audit, a creative studio for brand, space, image, experience. First 5 clients, 1 month free. 1 month is $1, then a simple productized studio, one project at a time. Audit, AUUDIT. Hello, Audit. .jeremywolf.co. Whoa. That's my platform. That's my company. Yes. I can help you. Build an experience. Build something. Do something. In sports or out of sports. I've done a lot of things in my career. This is the one that, for me, is most exciting. I get to have conversations every single day. Whether or not people are watching, to me, it's not about the who's watching and what's going to happen from it. To me, it's about actually doing the thing. I got to learn how to use all of these different tools to set this up. And I'm working on public speaking. And I'm working on things that make me incredibly anxious. Maybe we started a little bit later today because I was just really nervous of pressing that record button. And I don't know how many people are watching. I don't know if my mom's watching. She's not. And it could be 5 people or 10 people. And I'm going to keep learning how to do this. Because this is bringing me a lot of joy and excitement. I think there's a lot of things on the other side of that feeling. And how often do we get to feel embarrassed? Truly, truly, like, embarrassed on a daily basis. Not embarrassed in a negative way, but the feeling of embarrassment is an underexplored feeling for me. And yes, I can be a silly, goofy, weird guy doing karaoke, but I write a script every morning. I read from that script. I ad-lib a little bit about sports. I tried to share my screen. I had to ad-lib away from that. I like that heightened feeling. I was looking for that heightened feeling to be able to have this time to do those things. So hopefully, as I go back and watch this recording to see and to study and to see how I can get better. This is my 4th episode. Maybe 40 people are going to watch this, and that's okay. Because if I use this as an opportunity to improve this thing that I'm really, really passionate about, have always wanted to do, then I think a lot of good is going to come out of it, one way or another. And I think it already has. But we end every show with a take. Not a hot take. I'll give a hot take. Sometimes. This is not a Skip Baylessy hot take type of show. I'm going to go through the sports news every single day. I'm going to give you everything that I think is the most important thing to take with you that day as you talk to your friends, and hopefully this can help increase conversation with your friends. Hey, I watched this former professional athlete talk about sports all day, and he rambled for a long time, but I got this really interesting note about the future Las Vegas A's. That's what I want. And I want you to know that you, as a current or former athlete, can create an audience, create opportunity to get in the room with people, to create distribution for yourself, and hopefully find that as an opportunity to make money for the fact that you're an athlete for a very small window of time. A lot of things that we can definitely talk about in our hour. Hopefully, as we go through our hour every single day, there's something that you, in whatever you're doing in your work, can pull out of it. That's the value that I hope to provide to you. I want nothing in return. This brings me an immense amount of joy to be able to prepare and do every single day. I'm doing it for the feeling of being bad at something, and then over time, creating an audience of people that love sports as much as I do and want to have these conversations in public and online, of course. Your job is to show up every day or when you can and have that conversation with us. And maybe we can do more live things with guests, and maybe we can do live events, and maybe we can create opportunities to invest into these businesses, both emotionally and monetarily. I would love for you fan, see a minor league baseball player with the Toronto Blue Jays go, wow, he's a really interesting business. I think that can benefit me. I think they can benefit my family. I think that's going to help my kid be better at hockey. Whatever it might be. That's what this audience is for. Our show today, Take a Piece, Not a Payment. Ownership is risky. Your equity, all the startups that we will bring into our cohort will have one founder, or maybe we can put two athletes together and build co-founders. And maybe we can make their sweat equity and therefore their equity in these businesses valuable, because now they have a place where they're getting a little jump start. The things that I've built, MindReady, Archive, Esther Health, they've started at zero. Warm leads and blah, 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 blah. Started at zero. This is a community, hopefully, that can give you a jump start. With More Than Baseball, we were running it 2018 to 2022. Made $2.5 million and helped form the Minor League Baseball Players Association. Minor leaguers are making $3,000 a year. We made $2.5 million to give back to those players, push 98% of that back to the players. Now their pay is around $40,000 a year. Under the Major League Baseball Players Association, they have that. You don't have to be LeBron to make an impact. You need a foot in the door. Being a professional athlete or a college athlete nowadays is a foot in the door. Investment funds or brands or whoever want your distribution so badly, they'll let you in for a small check or none. The seat is cheaper than you think. The window is what's expensive. Your value to an organization building in sports or wants part of your audience might be easier than you think. You, college professional athlete, are in the door. Money is moving to make sure that you can benefit from your ability to be in the door, from your window. The money's moving from wages to ownership. It should move back to wages because college athletes should be paid as an employee of these organizations. On your next deal, on your next conversation, ask for a piece. You don't have to be LeBron to ask for a piece. Own your audience. Own your brand. Don't rent it out. Build an audience that you can keep with you. I never did. I'm starting it over from scratch. And I'm trying to use it to help my friends, current and former athletes, other people building in sports, like find value from an audience that cares deeply about the things that are happening in sports. That's what I want to do. And I want to come here every single day and have those conversations with you because it's better than just sitting here doing nothing. And so today, first live show was so nerve-wracking. And I hope that you got something out of it. And I did, because it wasn't as bad as I thought. And I think that's my takeaway for today. Is shoot your shot, because you might enjoy it. And this is something I've always wanted to do. And I'm doing it. And I don't really care about the outcome. I want to make sure that this is a platform to help my friends or help current and former athletes get to a place where they didn't think they could get to. So that's our show today on Monday, August 3rd. More to come. I'm Jeremy Wolf, founder of Open Athletes. I'll see you tomorrow.